she suddenly discovered that her newborn daughter had been in a terrible accident. Ignoring her own burns, she dropped to the floor, frantically searching. The next second, her husband appeared behind her, holding the baby. He rushed over to tend to her wounds, but what he never saw coming, Lisa was raising the iron pot. Her name was Lisa. She just found out she was pregnant, and she and her husband were deeply in love. On their wedding day, they made a vow to trust each other for as long as they lived. But things went wrong on the very first night. She woke in the middle of the night to find her husband sitting up on the edge of the bed. Jack seemed to hear something calling out to him. At the same time, Lisa heard the sound of a door opening outside. She grabbed a power drill and crept toward the balcony. Turned out it was just a slipper jammed in the door. But the moment she turned around, a strange scraping noise came from inside the room. The next day, the downstairs neighbor came up to complain. He said he'd heard screaming and banging from above in the middle of the night. What was even stranger, he mentioned that a 70-year-old man on the floor below had also filed complaints, but had recently gone missing. From that day on, the husband began sleepwalking. He'd claw at his own face in the middle of the night until it was raw and bloody. He even started behaving as if he were eating raw meat. The next morning, he'd remember none of it. The next second, he started doing something deeply disturbing. Lisa broke down and threw up on the spot. What was even more horrifying, she found bloodstains on the floor, trailing all the way under the bed, and the family dog was nowhere to be found. They went to the hospital. After a full evaluation, Jack was diagnosed with sleepwalking disorder. As long as he took his medication on time, things should gradually return to normal. The following day, Lisa opened the fridge. She froze. Inside, dog food, traces of blood, and something she couldn't begin to explain. Not long after, Lisa gave birth to their daughter, but her mother grew increasingly uneasy. Jack's condition hadn't gone away. She even suggested they move out. Lisa refused. On the way back home, Jack was spiraling too. He suggested they leave the apartment temporarily, but Lisa shut him down. To protect her daughter, she took things to the extreme. She put locks on every door in the house, and zipped her husband into a sleeping bag at night. But the dread kept her wide awake. All she could do was take the baby and hide in the bathroom to sleep. Then, in the dead of night, someone started pounding on the door. She opened it, and there was her husband, standing over the crib, doing something beyond comprehension. In that moment, she finally realized things had gone completely off the rails. Lisa's mother immediately called in an exorcist named Emma. Emma told them they needed to find a name before they could cast out the spirit. She also hinted that this might be connected to someone who died, and the clues started pointing downstairs. Lisa went to talk to the neighbor. His father had just passed away, but then the neighbor's young son suddenly spoke up. His grandfather had always lived in that very room. Lisa fell apart. She began to doubt everything, even suspecting that her husband had been taken over. Then one morning, she watched him tear off the protective charm. The next second, Lisa slipped into a dream. She dreamed her daughter had vanished. She bolted downstairs to find the baby. Jolting awake from the nightmare, she rushed straight to the stroller, but her daughter was gone. She threw open the fridge, no sign of the baby there either. Then she saw a pot boiling on the stove. She was convinced her daughter had been killed, but the truth was, none of it was real. Her husband hadn't killed anyone. He hadn't hurt anyone in his sleep. The real problem was her. Consumed by fear, her mind kept filling in the blanks, twisting perfectly normal behavior into scenes of horror. The one who was truly hurt was her husband. He'd been branded as possessed, forcibly restrained, injected with drugs, and sent away. A month later, the husband was declared fully recovered. But when he came home, his wife had already suffered a complete mental breakdown. So who was really destroyed, the husband or the wife? If it were you, could you still believe in this marriage?